We're pulled in all directions at once by kids, work, and aging parents. We're part of the sandwich generation, caught up in the swirl of the family dance. On this family dance, Angela Houpt's story.
My father is not coming back home. He's in permanent residence at Sunnybrook in the Veterans Wing. He's being very well looked after. And I have to do something with his house. Film, 1969, out of date. I don't have to hang on to that. Jeez, that's going. 1969, it's ridiculous. My mum died about 10 years ago, and my dad's lived here ever since. And 5 days after his 90th birthday, he collapsed at home, and that was the end of it for him here. So that's what we're doing here, clearing up, throwing away stuff from 50 years. This is my dad's bedroom, full of 2 bedrooms worth of furniture. I've thrown away at least 35 bags of garbage every week since my dad collapsed. And I'm nowhere near finished. There's a picture of my mum and dad. Yeah. Yes, something else I found is I think my mother's wedding dress. And I guess I'm just going to dump that. It's, you know, stuff, and then there's a little tiny shoe here, probably mine, when I was a baby, 60 years old. You know, one hears about this, and I opened a drawer or two and discovered all these unconsumed drugs from the last 15 years. My father would have them delivered, and he never took them. I'm going to have to take it to a drugstore for proper disposal. And what am I going to do about it? There's nothing I can do about it. He did it. What a waste. Well, I've taken a lot of junk out of here, but I haven't really tackled any of the stuff. I've done a lot of throwing away. This sculpture, my father brought from Europe and deeded to me. And I have that at home. I'm a sculptor. My own career is on hold at the moment. And much to my kids' disgust, it seems to have been on hold for quite a while. But they have no idea how much time I've had to spend looking after my dad's needs. Oh, this house. Wow. That's an old picture. That's my mother and me and my younger brother. So my younger brother's about 3 there. That would have been about 1945 in Nottingham. Oh my goodness. This is something I haven't seen before. A brief biographical sketch of my father. 1927 to 31, an accountant in Nairobi, Kenya. Intelligence in Germany, 1945. 58, first round the world business trip, Japan, plywood, Formosa, Philippines, Thailand, India, Pakistan, Western Europe. Yeah, he traveled a lot. And that sums up my dad. Well, that's interesting. Never seen that before. I don't want him to know what I'm doing here. When he left here, we talked about it in the hospital, and I said, what do you want me to do with the house? He said, nothing. Just leave it until after I'm gone. Just leave it. And I guess he doesn't understand that you can't just leave it. Got to maintain the insurance, you've got to keep the heat, you've got to pay for the taxes, and, you know, eventually he's just going to run right through his whole estate. I'm getting it ready for rental. What do people do with this stuff? Stuff. You know, at the end of a life, it's just pointless, really. It's just stuff. I've got to go see my dad at the residence. I get there 3 or 4 times a week when I'm in town, and when I'm not, I phone him every day. A week ago, I got a phone call at 11:30 at night to say that the man in the next room had wandered out into the hallway and obviously wandered into my father's room and beaten him up. Well, he thought he'd gone back into his own room, found somebody in his bed, so he beat the hell out of my father. And my father, completely defenseless, began screaming, and one of the nurses heard him and went in and called for help, and they separated the 2 individuals and cleaned up my father, who was totally terrified, not knowing what had happened. I thought my dad was in a really safe place, because up until that moment, everything had been just wonderful. I don't think there is a better place in the city. I don't think there's a better place anywhere than where he is right now. I live right across the road from the hospital. It's less than a 5-minute walk to get there. It could not be a better situation for me. Come on, girls. Come say hi to Puppy. Come on. Come say hi. Come say hi to Puppy. It's me. I'm making a cup of tea.
Making or you made?
I'm adding the milk, and I'm adding the sweetener.
Yeah.
That's how you like
All
it.
I've got to do is to...
All you have to do is get off your butt and drink it. Slippers on. Would you rather sit in your chair, Dad, or would you rather just lie here in bed? Sit on
I
the
don't
edge of
know
the
what
bed.
I'd rather.
Okay, well, let's sit you up. Up. That's it.
Oh.
Would you like to sit down and have a cup of tea?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, you can walk over to the chair here. Okay, can you find it? There you go. It's hot, it's a little hot. Excuse me.
It's got no sugar. It's got no sweetener.
All right, I'll get the sweetener. Can you wait a second while I go and get some sweetener?
Go and get some sweetener.
There are a lot of frustrations regarding my father, and there always have been. Mainly since my mum died. My dad should have been in care much sooner, but he thought he was being independent by staying alone at home. In fact, he lived alone for 10 years after my mum died. So awful. Didn't have to.
Whoa!
Is it
what
attached?
the hell was that?
Sorry, it's attached. I thought it was loose. You've got a loose hair. I thought it was loose. I'm sorry. Do you have a nail scissors here? I think I brought you one.
A what?
A nail scissors.
I don't know.
I think I brought one for you.
Why?
And I could snip it off.
Snip what off?
This hair that's dangling on your neck. I'll see if I can find it. For a number of years, my dad's been quite depressed about my mum, about the death of my mum, but he covers very well, and it's been very difficult for me to persuade his doctors that he is depressed. He says, I remember those Bickies. All right, let's give them one more, Dad. Here. You give it to them.
Who do I give it to?
It doesn't matter. He actually said, I don't want to go back to my lonely life. Lonely life, I mean, what an admission. It's obvious that he's not going to go back to that house. He's never going to go home. So I have to get that house organized. I have to do something with it. The event today is to get rid of all the rest of the crud that we didn't give away and that the antiques dealer wasn't interested in, and just the garage sale. It is Greek, definitely. Doesn't it look Greek?
Yeah, well, that's what I thought, but it's
Yeah.
thing of the next bit.
I like it because it's an old one, not
It's a
to
very
use
old
it.
one.
I like to rebuild these old things. You see,
Okay.
myself, I'm
Are you a mechanic?
yes.
Ah,
So
it is very old. I know we brought it in 1957, and I know that we had it in England for years before that. We put our best price on that. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. There were people lined up at 7:30, even though we advertised 9 o'clock. So I think business is going well. You know, all I've done is stuff my wallet full of, it's going well. We're doing well. Because anything that I've sold here, I was ready to dump into the garbage. Oh, this is something we turned up.
Various sundry items. So this is stuff that he brought.
From England.
How about this? A pair of John Lennon sunglasses. Is that unbelievable? They have to be 50. At least, if this is from the UK, they've got to be 50 years old or more. Like, you know, how do you throw it out? It's 50 years old. It's something that is...
I'll show you how you throw it out,
Oh,
David.
no, not when I'm here. Please, I couldn't stand that. I have this feeling that I should really be saving these things for something. It's ambivalence, I guess. You know, not wanting to let go, all of the history being here with Mom and Dad, visiting, and having them see the kids grow up a bit, and you know, that kind of stuff. It's life.
It's a box of letters that Michael wrote to my parents when he lived in Switzerland for
Oh,
4
really?
years.
Wow.
And all the letters are here.
Oh, that's got to go to Mike.
Well, it will go to Mike, but I hope there's one from me. I haven't come across it yet, but if there's one from Mike, he's probably saved my letters too. So look, dear Mum, Dad, Ange and Dave.
Wow.
I hope my letters are here, you know. In some way, it's driving me crazy to have to go through a lifetime of effects, personal effects. And on the other hand, when I come across things like that book of letters, I'm really happy that he didn't throw those things out. Yeah, this was the very first stone sculpture that I made. I'd done a number of pieces in clay, and this was the first time I attempted stone. It was in my parents' house. I gave it to my mum, and I didn't want it just to disappear, so I brought it here. It's not something that I'm proud of. It's a rather poor piece of sculpture. This I did after I came back from Newfoundland, and it's obviously an iceberg and massive. And when I display this in a gallery, I usually have some water in here. And the reflections of these posts reflect in the water and multiply. What happens when I'm making a piece of sculpture is I get ideas from that piece of sculpture. I get what I call the what-ifs. What if I did this, or what if I went off in that direction? This is a breaking wave. I've done a number of different breaking waves, and I'm intrigued by how waves break, and I think everybody can sit and look at the ocean forever and watch a wave break. My work is not decorative. It's very much a reduction, an essence of whatever I'm seeing, whatever I want to project. When one of my dealers came to the house, I told him he could take whatever he liked from the house because he needed a few pieces, and he took this piece away, and before I knew it, my husband was saying, "Where is that seal?" And I said, "Well, it got taken by one of my dealers, the dealer in London." "No," he said, "I want that piece. I liked that piece." So I said, "Okay, I'll phone the dealer and see if I can get it back." By which time, of course, inevitably, it had been sold. So I found my maquette, my little model that I had made in order to make this piece, and I recarved it. I didn't know that he liked it. You know, people get very blasé about living with a sculptor. Yeah. I've been married since June of 1960. We had 4 children in 6 years. By the time I was 29, I had 4 children. I don't remember much about the 60s because I was busy being pregnant and nursing. just talking about this energizes me to start making some more sculpture. Haven't had a chance to get at it yet, but I think I will now. Ooh, does this ever feel wonderful? At last. It's been a long winter. This is the first time I've picked up a tool in the year 2001. Yes. Fabulous. Absolutely wonderful. This winter has been an impossible year because of my dad. I've had to look after his house, I've had to look after him, it just has not happened.
It feels very frustrating when you haven't been able to...
No, I just put it away from my head. I can't end up in a constant state of frustration. That wouldn't make sense to me.
But now, I mean, like now you've started,
Oh.
you've done something. You will feel, now you just...
I'll finish this piece, actually. I just think this piece has been hanging about for quite a long time. Yeah. And I like it. Let's try and cross this road safely. I'm just off to see my dad. Finally got him onto some antidepressants a couple of weeks ago, and I hear from the nurses that there's a big change, so I'm looking forward to seeing him. Don't tell the nurse. Some more wine.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we can have a little visit.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Have a little visit.
You're looking great, Dad.
I'm looking all right.
You're looking good, actually. Yeah, really good.
Yeah?
Yeah. You're looking really good. True. So Simon's gone back to New York now.
Simon has gone back to New York.
He came to visit you.
Did they visit me?
They both came to see you.
Yeah.
You don't remember, but you remember things
Why
gone
don't I
by.
remember?
There's some chemical imbalance in your brain.
Thanks
So
a lot.
What's happening is the messages are not getting retained. You're experiencing things, but you're not retaining the experience. And it's a chemical thing. So that, yeah, it's in the synapse between one nerve and another, or sort of in the nerve root thing. And so you don't retain the experience. You have the experiences, but you can't recall them. That's all. I mean, that's pretty easy to figure
That's
out.
all.
Yeah, that's it.
That's all. In other words, I'm deficient.
No, we'll all eventually have this problem as we age. We'll lose recent memory.
This is part of aging,
This is part of aging. You know how old you are?
Do I know how old I am?
Yes, how old do you think you are?
I got to be 90-something.
You are 90-something. I'm going to be 62 next month.
62.
In 2 weeks, actually.
In 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
You made it.
I haven't made it yet. What is it, Dad?
What is it?
Yeah.
It's a good question.
When
What is it?
When you say you've made
You've made it.
What is it?
Well, it's supposed to be you have achieved a goal of some kind. You're on the top of everything. Whatever you want to do, you've always done it. And you've never gone to anybody to ask for help. Never.
Why do you think that is?
Because you're so much like me.
Oh.
You are very much like me.
Do you remember when I was bright? He's happy. He's outward. He was closed. He was inward. He was afraid of leaving his room. He was
2 years ago.
afraid. The change is simply due to the antidepressant that he's on, because he's happy. When Joe married me, he thought he was marrying my mother. And after he married me, he discovered he'd married my father. a bit cleaner. Dishwasher's going in there, new sinks, new stove, new countertop, new floor. And upstairs, all empty, all clean, all new. Almost there. My dad never speaks of the house, doesn't talk about the house or any of his possessions or anything here, and I don't talk about it to him. I guess it's time I put an ad in the paper to rent it, because that would make me do the study. I've had a lot to do. I've had a double load of life. I would like to have had a clone over the last year, but since I've had to handle it all, I've had to let go a lot of my own life. Actually, it's half done. It's starting to look as if I've tackled a bit of it. I am managing to find bits of my own life, scraps in amongst everything else. Hi, doggy. Scram, scram. I don't think about the house anymore. The house is off my head. It's marvelous. I can start living my life again now. Yeah, it's satisfying to finish a piece of work.